everyone, and welcome back to another episode of MarieGrace Spills the Tea, the show where I talk about all the news related to American Girl. Now I have some very, very exciting news to share with you, and that is we have an official release date for the new 90s historical dolls. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you the information that we know versus some information that I think the dolls will look like. Now we have this photo here on Instagram by the Doll Studio by Chris. I believe this is his own photo. I'm pretty sure that he took this photo at the American Girl store in New York. I could be wrong. I'm guessing this is New York. I could be wrong because I haven't been to the American Girl store in New York, but I think New York has this big kind of, posters here. But here we have some photos of Isabel and Nicki. And again, those are rumored names. Maybe they're going to be changing the names. Maybe they're trying to be a little bit more sneaky this year. Who knows? They've definitely done a very good job at keeping these dolls under wraps because they're coming out next month and we literally didn't know any information. We don't have any leaks yet. I knew about the World by Us leaks way before the World by Us dolls were released. So I think American Girl is doing a little bit better at hiding their leaks, which is, not good for me and us, but I guess is good for them. So I think Isabel's going to be the one here on the, I'm terrible at left and right. She's going to be on the left. Isabel is the one wearing what I think is going to be a beret, and then she's going to wear a skirt and these white knee-high socks and these kind of Mary Jane shoes. Then we have Nicki over here, which I think, I could be wrong, but it looks like she's wearing a backwards baseball cap and a shirt tied around her waist, and some Van Converse shoes. Now I'm going to be showing you some images from Pinterest that I think is some of the inspirations for these outfits and based on these outlines. One thing I want to say before I get into these images is I think Isabel is going to be highly inspired by the movie Clueless. And I definitely think a lot of their outfits are going to be inspired by the TV show Friends as well, because when you ask most people what they think of when they think of 90s and 90s fashion, they are going to say either Clueless or Friends. I usually say Clueless, but most people say Friends, so those are the two things people think of when they think of the 90s. Now, for those of you who don't know what Clueless is a movie that came out in the 90s based off of Jane Austen's book Emma, and it's about this girl who lives in California, and she's clueless, like the title says. She doesn't really know about life, and her priorities are kind of whack, but as she goes through the movie, she learns and grows, and it's a comedy movie, so it's really funny. This was definitely one of my favorite movies in high school. Now, I wasn't a high schooler in the 90s, but I really love those movies like Legally Blonde and Clueless, and I'm forgetting all their names now because it's been a while, but Mean Girls, and movies like that where they, were really, really girly and feminine. I loved those movies with a passion, and I would watch them on repeat all the time. It was insane when I got my first laptop with a DVD player, and I would just watch Legally Blonde. Every time I had even half hour to myself, I would watch Legally Blonde. Now, for those of you who don't know what Friends is a really, really popular TV show. I feel like it's gotten really popular in recent years when it was on Netflix for that period of time. I don't know if it's on Netflix anymore, but people love this show, and you can definitely, even when you go to stores, you can see Friends merchandise. Even though the show is been around for, a few decades now, it is super popular. And it's about these friends that are living in New York, and they just get into a whole bunch of trouble, but no matter what trouble they get into, they always stick together. So we're going to move on to my Pinterest board. So I just created this Pinterest board. I titled it 90s Dolls, just because I wanted to compile some things that I think, based on the image that we saw, what I think they're going to look like. Now, very first, I think that Isabel is going to have an outfit very similar to this one in Clueless, which Cher is wearing, and Cher is the main character's name in Clueless. And as you can see, she has kind of this beret, just like the leak shows us the outline, the poster of the 90s doll, and she might even have some plaid outfits because plaid was huge in the Clueless movie. I don't know how popular it was in the 90s, of course, because I wasn't around in the 90s. This is another one of Cher's iconic outfits. Now, this one I think she's wearing in the beginning of the movie, or at least very early on in the movie, and if you have seen the doll Cheryl from Rainbow High, this is the inspiration behind that doll. So Cheryl from Series 3 from Rainbow High is the inspiration for this doll, and that's why I wanted to get the Cheryl doll, because I love this movie so much, and that's why Cheryl is my second favorite Rainbow High doll. Now I'm just gonna go in order of what I have in the Pinterest here. There is more for Isabel because, again, I'm really into the girly fashion and aesthetic, so I relate to Isabel a little bit more. But one of the sets that I mentioned in my other 90s video, where I talk about the leak of the list of sets and accessories and outfits that are going to be released with the 90s dolls, is that she's going to be playing tennis. So I picked out this outfit here, which this is not from the 90s, but it's someone doing like 90s inspired fashion. So you have a tennis skirt here and an oversized sweater. So let's see if Isabel is going to have an outfit that looks like this. Here's another example of the oversized sweater with the tennis skirt, and then she's also wearing some like Van-like shoes. This is an outfit which is not technically 90s. It is technically, I think, early 2000s, because it's from the show Gossip Girl. But I would love for Isabel to have an outfit like this. I just love the pink and how the pink matches some of the stripes in the skirt, and then she has this kind of beret hat and little ice skates. I definitely think that Isabel would look so cute in this outfit, even though it's a little bit more early 2000s. Now, this is the image that came to mind when I saw the photo of Nicki, or rumored to be Nicki. I think that this hat backwards is definitely something she might be wearing. I don't know about the sunglasses. Probably not, because doll sunglasses are, hard to... I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of doll glasses, even though I have glasses myself. They just fall off all the time, and there's glare. And even though I want glasses so much for my dolls, I very rarely put them on because it's so frustrating. Except for Molly, because Molly, I don't see Molly without them. But anyways, so these t-shirts underneath tank tops were really, really popular. This is a different photo of the same outfit. So as you can see, the backwards baseball cap, the t-shirt underneath the tank top, and then as you can see, she has a shirt wrapped around her waist. Just looks exactly like what Nicki is wearing in the outline. This is another iconic outfit from Friends. This is from the character Rachel, and Rachel's wearing this, again, like a tennis skirt and this white shirt and these knee-high socks. So definitely something that I would see Isabel wearing. I've seen a lot of people who try to recreate this outfit, and for those of you who don't know, I don't know if I've mentioned this, but I used to work, and now I'm working again in a clothing store. So people all the time are trying to recreate outfits from Friends, and this is one of the ones that I see people trying to recreate all the time. Now, overalls are really, really 90s. I think that Nicki is probably going to get a pair of overalls, or at least she should, because these were really trendy in the 90s. And I remember a little bit in the early 2000s. I remember sometimes getting, 90s American Girl books, like the, Care and Keeping of You kind of books, the Smart Girls Guide, those ones. And I remember seeing the girls, like the illustrations, wearing overalls and things like this all the time. So I am pretty excited for the 90s historicals for that reason, because I remember I would buy a lot of American Girl books at the thrift store, and a lot of them were from the 90s, and they would have, the 90s clothing and fashion in the illustrations. Here's just another clip from Clueless, and as you can see, overalls. So we have, pink overalls, and then we have regular overalls. So this might be something that the 90s historicals will wear. I don't know if they're both going to wear overalls and both be, wearing overalls. Like, I don't see Isabel wearing pink and Nicki wearing jean denim. I think that would be a little bit too much, but who knows. And here's another example of overalls being from the 90s. So again, this is another clip from Friends. Another image here is again from Clueless, and we have the pink fuzzy crop top. Now, I don't know if American Girl is going to release a crop top by itself. I know Courtney technically had a crop top, but she wore it over a like a tank top. So I don't know if American Girl would release a crop top. I have a feeling it would be controversial if they did decide to do it, so they might not do that. But I think that something like this, at least this kind of feeling that this outfit has, would be really cool for like Isabel. Another outfit that I would love to see for the 90s historicals is a dress like this. So I don't know if it's called like a slip dress, or I don't know the exact word for it, but just kind of this dress that follows like your curves and has the spaghetti straps. And it doesn't have to be sparkly like this, but I think that this would be really cool and people would really like an outfit like this because a lot of people wore outfits like this during the 90s. Now, I did mention in my predictions for Kavi Sharma video that I wanted a doll with a fuzzy pen, and the 90s historicals might be the dolls that have that fuzzy pen because, again, this is another image from Clueless, and fuzzy pens were really popular. I mean, they were pretty popular when I was in high school too. I was in high school a few years ago, and I guess the 90s trend was, you know, really, really popular then. So I'm assuming it's still around if they're going to do the 90s doll. The nostalgia has definitely been, you know, really strong during the COVID-19 pandemic. People are just, you know, looking for things that remind them of happier times. So I definitely think that's why Courtney did so well, and that's why they're going to release the 90s dolls so soon, because like I mentioned in one of my previous videos, there is a lot of adults that are buying toys. I think like a quarter of toy sales or something. I think, I don't remember where I got that statistic, but a lot of adults are buying toys and keeping them for themselves, so, you know, collectors. Now, that's just not American Girl. That's like Barbie and Legos and, like, you know, all different toys. So it's not just American Girl, but a lot of toy sales are being purchased and kept by adults. So the 90s nostalgia is probably really strong for people that are, you know, of wide different ages, maybe even people who weren't around in the 90s like me, who just like the aesthetic, and then also the people that were around in the 90s, or maybe even young kids in the 90s. So here is one thing that we did see butterfly clips with McKenna. And butterfly clips do have a little bit of a resurgence, but these things were so popular in the 90s, and I remember in the early 2000s, a lot of people wanted these butterfly clips too. And they were just super stylish, and it felt like people like of all ages were wearing them, from like young kids to, you know, teenagers. And people loved these butterfly clips. So hopefully the 90s girls have some butterfly clips, because I know that would make a lot of people very happy. So those are my predictions for what I believe the 90s historicals are going to look like. Make sure to leave your thoughts on what you think they will look like in the comments section below. Also, make sure to hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed this video and if you want to learn more about American Girl leaks and news. See you all next time.